Hi, you guys. Lady ReShell here, author of Take Charge of Cancer, the founder of Warriors Talk, where we empower individuals to take actions that leads to a healthier lifestyle. This is a special edition of Warriors Talk where we are giving you 31 facts in 31 days in recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is day 3. So our topic for tonight is who is at risk as it relates to breast cancer. So let's talk about some of the risks, because the risk, if you know your risk, it could possibly help you catch breast cancer early or decrease your risk. So if you know your risk and you know what to do, then you know how to take action to decrease your risk. So let's jump right into it. So number 1 is being a woman. So if you are a woman and you have breasts, then guess what? That is automatically an increased risk for breast cancer. Now, we know that men do get breast cancer. 1 in 1,000 get breast cancer, right? And about 2,600 and something is diagnosed every single year. So being a man, it also puts you at risk, especially if you have a history in your family of individuals who have breast cancer. So ladies, just being a woman and having breasts puts you at risk. Number 2 that puts you at risk for breast cancer is your age. So they say normally they would say breast cancer is an older person's disease, right? It's an older woman's disease. Women, 55 and older, going through menopause. But we are seeing that more and more young women are being diagnosed with cancer. So although they're saying that it's age and women over the age of 55, I'm telling you, if you have a family history of breast cancer, talk to your doctor. If you're a woman that's 40 years old, then you should be going to get your mammograms. And I know the mammograms can be a frightening thing, but it could help you. It could really help save your life, especially if they find something on the mammogram that's not normal. Then the doctor is going to ask for additional testing. And once you get the additional testing done, they can look further into it to see what it is. It may not be anything. Sometimes we get afraid thinking that, oh my God, they called me back. I'm not even going to follow up, so you don't follow up with the doctor's request. And then 3-4 years down the line, you having some type of issues and you go in and you at the stage 4, you at the last stage. And it's like, wow, you could have came back in here a couple years ago. And I'm not saying that happens for everybody, but some people it do. And some people go in and they're automatically already at that stage. So I'm saying tonight, I'm giving you the information so that you can know your risks. And there are some risks that you can change, and there are some risks that you cannot do anything about. So let's go to number 3. If you have a family history of breast cancer, so if you have a first-degree relative, a sister, daughter, mother, then that means it puts you at risk. You are 2 times more likely that increases your risk of you getting breast cancer. Now, I know that they have it doesn't mean, keep in mind that these risks does not mean that you are going to get breast cancer. So I don't want to scare anybody, but I want you to be aware of the risks that are out here. Why? Because you are a woman and because you have breasts. And especially if you are an African-American woman, I really want you to make sure that you know your family history, that you're questioning your family to find out what's going on in your family, who had what type of cancer, did they live through, or what type of treatment did they have, did that cancer come back? Because that's information that you need to give to your doctor. So, so they can know and figure out like how to treat you and what are some of the different approaches that they can take with you. Family history is so important, so don't leave it out. The 4th way that you can find out if you're at risk is genetic testing, right? So we know that 5 to 10% of breast cancers have a hereditary link. But then there is 85% of women who get diagnosed with breast cancer do not have a hereditary link. So what does that tell you? That tells you that lifestyle, your environment, all of that plays a role in breast cancer. Stress, there's so many different things. So I would encourage you to talk to your doctor about genetic testing, especially if you have a family history of breast cancer. Talk to your doctor about getting genetic testing done. And what this does is it'll tell you if you have a hereditary link. And if you have the hereditary link, then you can take action. And there are women out here that get their breasts removed, and they get reconstructive surgery. They have a hysterectomy because they have an 85% chance of getting breast cancer and a 55% chance of getting ovarian cancer. So those are just proactive things that some women have decided to do because they know that they have an increased risk of breast cancer. Also, number 5 is your personal history of breast cancer. So if you've had breast cancer, then you're automatically are at an increased risk for breast cancer. So you are 3 to 4 times more likely to get breast cancer or have a recurrence if you had it before. It may come in the same breast, or it may be in the other breast, a different part, but in that chest area. If you have had radiation to the chest for a different type of cancer, then it puts you at risk for cancer. And I know you're like, wait a minute, but they use this to treat me. So why is it, causing cancer? That is one of the side effects to radiation, is that, they and a lot of times they don't really tell you. So for this particular, if you had non-Hodgkin lymphoma or Hodgkin's disease, is telling you if you have radiation to the chest that there's a possibility that you have an increased risk for breast cancer. So the 7th thing that you need to know if you are at risk is that if you have had changes in your breast. So say, for instance, you go in and you had they tell you that, oh, it's benign. So, we didn't find anything, but you keep going in because you're having issues with your breast. Then this puts you at risk, a higher risk for breast cancer. And we know, like, sometimes you say, well, if they was watching me, they'll tell you to come in like every 6 months or whatever, because they're just trying to catch it early. Remember that they never really, with breast cancer, they never say prevent. They always say early detection is key. But I'm telling you, early detection plus action is key. Because sometimes you can know and you can stall and don't do because you're running around trying to really believe, is this true? And you don't really do anything, and time is slipping away. So early detection plus action is key. So if you have had breast changes that you have to keep going back to the doctor about, it increases your risk of breast cancer, unfortunately. Also, race or ethnicity, it increases it. So a white woman gets diagnosed with breast cancer more than African Americans, than Hispanics, than Asians, right? But African Americans, we are more likely to develop an aggressive form of cancer when we go in. And then we all alike, most likely, according to statistics, we have the advanced stage cancer, and at a younger age. So not only is African American cancers aggressive, but they're saying, oh, you're getting diagnosed either at stage 3 or stage 4, and you are younger. And when I say younger, I mean younger than 40. So although white women are getting diagnosed more, we're dying more, and it's more aggressive. And this is why it's important for us to know our risks and do something about it. So the 7th risk is if you are overweight. And being overweight, this is something that you can control, right? Like race and ethnicity, you can't control that. But being overweight, this is something that you control. So when you're overweight, it puts you in a different category because of the weight. The weight produces estrogen, and that a lot of women are diagnosed with cancer that are linked to estrogen, and it's because a lot of them are overweight. And even with recurrence of breast cancer, if you're overweight, then you have to make sure that you are putting a plan in place so that you can keep your weight down. Whatever that normal range is for your weight, you should be striving to get there, right? And I know for different races it looks different, but the doctors have come up with, a formula to say, hey, if you are 5'7", you should be weighing between 135 and 120 and 140, right? And we know in the African American community, if we 5'7", we may be at a 175 or 190. Well, they're saying if that's you, then you are at an increased risk for getting breast cancer because we are overweight. So that's something that you can control. You can go to the health club. You can get some YouTube videos and start exercising. You can walk. That's free. Like there's things that, that we can control. And if you can control it, just get on top of it. So they talk about your pregnancy history. So if you hadn't carried a baby to full term, if you had babies after 30, then they're saying that you are at an increased risk. And we know like a lot of women are waiting because they're in their careers and they're waiting to have their babies until after 30. Well, they saying, you shouldn't do that. You should have your babies before 30, because if you don't, then you're putting yourself at an increased risk for breast cancer. Now, this one right here, breastfeeding. So if you have a history of breastfeeding your baby, they said longer than a year, right? Then it's supposed to decrease your risk, right? So this is something that you can control. So if you have a baby, breastfeed that baby for at least a year, and you have helped yourself decrease your risk. Well, let me tell you. And I'm not saying this one's not true, but I breastfed every last one of my babies. And y'all know I have 5 babies. And I breastfed them longer than a year. So most of them, I think the longest was 2 years. But most of the time, I breastfed them longer than a year. So although that was one thing that I could control, but then there are some things in your life that may not balance out to where it will cancel that breastfeeding part out. So you just have to make sure that you know all of the risks so that you're working on all of them. So the 12th thing, that this one you cannot change, right? This is the menstrual history you cannot change. So if you started your period before 12, it puts you at an increased risk. And if you started menopause after 55, they're saying that you are at an increased risk for breast cancer. And I think I started my period after 12. So like some of these things, and this is just going off of statistics. So, but when you think back to yourself and you're like, hey, I didn't start my period before 12. So, you shouldn't be having that issue, right? That's what statistics say. So if you want to know if you are at risk for breast cancer, it says drinking alcohol. Now they're saying for women, we should be having 1 drink a day. Now I know people say, girl, I got to have my glass of wine. They said that red wine was good. Well, they're saying that for women, we should have at least 1 drink, and it should be no more than 10 grams, right? So 10 ounces, 10 ounces. Hey, Michelle, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. So they saying for alcohol, either don't drink at all. And they saying, okay, so they saying that they thinking that the reason why a lot of younger women are being diagnosed with breast cancer is because like younger women, they partying, they drinking, they binge drinking, and alcohol damages your cells, right? It damages your cells. So they're saying that they think that it's a link between the alcohol is a link between the younger people drinking. That's why a lot of younger women are being diagnosed with breast cancer. But so if you're drinking and you just feel like you have to drink, then 1 drink and let it be 10 ounces, right? And that's it. We know that men, their makeup is different, so they can have 2 drinks, and as long as it's within that target range of ounces. So don't drink. It's just as simple as that. But I know some people they gotta have it. So if you have a lack of exercise, then you're putting yourself at risk, right? This is something you can control. A lack of exercise is something that you can control as it relates to your breast cancer risk. So a lack of exercise. So all you have to do, we just talked about it, is get a membership at the gym. Get a partner that is going to hold you accountable for exercising. You can do stuff yourself. Download YouTube videos. You can get the fitness, the fit thingy that you put on your wrist. I had one. I have no idea what happened to it. Where it counts your steps, right? So it can count your steps, and you make sure you get your steps in. I mean, there's so many things that we can do to get moving, and it's free. So you can't say, well, I don't have any money, I can't. No, things are free. They have tracks that are out here in certain parks. They have, you can go maybe to the YMCA to exercise. There are so many places where you can go and do free exercise where you don't have to pay anything. You can get with somebody who has a membership already, and they can take you to exercise free with them, so you don't have to really pay anything to exercise unless that's just what you do. So I go to the gym because I'm more focused in the gym than I am at home. If I got to work out at home, I probably won't be disciplined. So the way for me to be disciplined is to actually go to the gym. And my membership is only $22 a month at LA Fitness because I got it through my job. So that's something you can do. And according to the American Heart Association, they say we should be doing at least, I think it's 150 minutes of exercise, some type of exercise, and we should be doing it at least 5 days a week. At least let your body rest the other 2 days. At least 5 days a week we should be doing something. Four at the least, I would say. I try to get at least 4 days in because of my work schedule. And I have a girl that's on the Palms. I have a excuse me, I have a girl that's on the volleyball team. I have another girl that's swimming, and she's playing basketball. So I'm like all over the place. So my 4 days is really what I can get in, but I make sure that I'm at one of 2 of those days it's like vigorous exercising. So I do my leg day, I have my arm day, and I just make sure that this is my one body that I have, and I already know that cancer attacked it. So I'm going to try to do everything that I can to make sure that I stay cancer free. Victoria said the statistics are tricky. Hold on, let me put it over here. She said the statistics are tricky. I was doing all right, I was doing all the right things, and it still happened. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. She said, but she had tremendous stress that I was sure it would suppress my immune system and open the gates for other things on the cellular level. Let me tell you this. She said 150. Yep, 150 is right. Let me tell you this, Victoria. So I have talked to a lot of different women that have been diagnosed, and I've asked them, have you had, before you was diagnosed, did you have some type of stress related episode in your life? And they have said yes. I know for myself that before I was diagnosed, I was pregnant and I had my baby, I think I had her in 12. So I was pregnant in 11, had her in 12. I was diagnosed in 13. I was stressed. It was a highly stressful pregnancy, and I was depressed during the pregnancy, and I was depressed after I had her. So I know that stress, yes, you are right. I know that stress really played a role, and it actually, my immune system, it allowed, that was the gateway for that cancer to say, because we all have cancer cells in our bodies. Just know that we all have cancer cells in our bodies. So they're just not activated, right? So that was that chance for that cancer cell to be like, that's my way in, because I was depressed. And when I tell you, I cried every single day after I had that baby. She says, yes, I had several major things that happened back to back, then cancer. Girl. And this is why they say stress, we should not be stressed. And I know stress is a part of life, right? It's a part of life. But there should be a way that we can release that stress. And now I think those of us who have had cancer, now we know how to release that stress. I'm not going to be stressed out. We're not going to sweat the small stuff, and we're not going to allow you to stress us out. A lot of us have learned the word no, and we've learned self-care. But I truly believe that stress is a trigger when it comes to breast cancer. So release it. If you cannot change it, you cannot control it. And I'm speaking from experience. Release it. Because if I could go back to that situation, my baby is 9 right now, but if I could go back to that situation, and if I could change, because a lot of times and I'm speaking for me. A lot of times when we stress out about something, it was something that I did to cause the stress, and it was something that I didn't have to do to cause that stress. So yeah, she said my sister had cancer, but we tested all the genetics possible, no cancer gene found. Same thing here. My sister had cancer. She passed away at the age of 52, and that was in 2010. And then in 2013, I was diagnosed. But I know my sister was stressed. She was stressed. She had diabetes. She had high blood pressure. She was blind. She was stressed. She was going through a lot. So I know that was a chance for cancer to come in. But I also did the test for the gene test, and they said I had no hereditary link. But I know that mine was linked to stress. I already know it. Okay, did I talk about smoking, y'all? I don't know if I did, but we know smoking is linked to a lot of different diseases. But breast cancer, you have a higher risk of getting breast cancer and lung cancer. So I would say just don't smoke. Don't smoke. And I mean, if you have to smoke, find a way for you to wean yourself off of it. Get on some type of program to where you can wean yourself off of the smoking. It's just not good. And for me, I don't know. Women don't look sexy smoking. It just don't look sexy smoking. You're like, and when I was 19, let me tell you, when I was 19, and I used to get into the clubs, before I was 21. So, because I was being bad, but I used to think it was really sexy to be at the bar with a drink and my smoke. So I would sit at the bar with my Long Island iced tea and my cigarette and my long nails, and I just thought that was so sexy. I don't know why. And I did get hit on a lot, but I don't know why I thought that was so sexy, but it just was. Victoria says, I know mine was stress related. They called it environmental when they can't pinpoint it. That's so true, because I asked my doctor, I said, okay, now, I know I exercise. I get my exercise in. I know I eat right. I'm not overweight. And at that time, I wasn't drinking alcohol. And I hadn't drank alcohol since '03, and I was diagnosed in 13. So I'm like, where did this come from? Where did this come from? Because I breastfeed all my babies. Okay. So and here I am. I've always been on the thin side, or they call it slim thick. So I'm like, okay, so what's going on? Why is this happening? And I know it was stress, because my doctor said she didn't know. She said she didn't know. She said, like Victoria said, sometimes they don't know. But I know, and Victoria know, that ours was stress related. Stress related. Another one is low levels of vitamin D. And I know a lot of us probably don't even know about vitamin D. Our doctors probably don't even discuss it with us when we go in and they're doing all this testing. They may not say, oh, you need to supplement your vitamin D, or what's going on with your vitamin D. But low levels of vitamin D puts you at a higher risk for breast cancer. It says that the vitamin D plays a role in controlling normal breast cells. It can stop the growth of the cells. So when you next time you go to the doctor and you're doing your annual, ask them where your vitamin D level is, and if it's not in the right range, what can you do to get it there? They may say take a supplement, and they may say do something in your diet, but that's something that you can control. So I'm saying the things that you can control, then those should be the things that you focus on. I'm not saying don't focus on age, don't focus on your race, don't focus on your gender, but you focus on your if you have lack of exercise, right? If you're smoking, if you're drinking, if you know that you're overweight, if you know that you are obese, then those are things that you can control. And why not? Why not? Why not focus on those things? Because there's so many other things that we cannot, especially if you're African American. And we know that when we get breast cancer, it's more aggressive. It's normally diagnosed in those later stages. And the younger women are being diagnosed. I know the youngest I've known is a 19-year-old that was diagnosed, and she is amazing. She is a 6-time, I'm not going to say breast cancer survivor, because it all wasn't breast cancer, but she's a 6-time cancer survivor, and I think she's like 38 today. So there's I don't want anybody to be diagnosed with cancer. But if you are diagnosed, Then with breast cancer, they focus on early detection. Early detection, they don't really focus on prevention. So if it's early detection, say, okay, if you're getting your mammograms once a year, if you're 40, but if you have a history of breast cancer, then you should be, if you have a family history of breast cancer, then you should be getting it, or your family, you should be getting it 10 years before, right? So say if my mom had breast cancer at 43, at 33, I would have been getting my test done. I would have been talking to my doctor and saying, hey, I need to get this done. So you getting your mammograms once a year, and then the doctor does a clinical exam while you're in there. She does a clinical breast exam, right? That's 2. And then you're doing your breast exams. I found my own lump. I found my own lump in the shower. I was in the shower and I was like, oh, I was in the shower in Vegas, about to party, y'all, about to party. Raised my arm up. It was this one. Raised it up. Start feeling in the shower. Swoop. Let me do that again, because soap, it was kind of slippery. Did it again. I was like, no, it's there. I did it again. I was like, okay, all right. So that my whole weekend was messed up, although I still partied. It was messed up. I'm glad that this is good information for you guys. I wish that I had paid attention maybe when somebody else was giving it before I was diagnosed, but sometimes when it doesn't hit home and there's none in our backyard, we don't pay attention to it. Victoria says, I was a raw vegan, non-smoker, drinker, lost 50 pounds, wellness practitioner, fitness instructor, 10 plus years, and cancer happened. Wow. Years after, but it was on the heels of stress. So you put all that work in, Victoria, all that work, and this is you doing what we're supposed to do, and that stress will come in, and the stress will, I'm telling you, stress triggers a lot of different disease. It may be high blood pressure, it may be a stroke, it may be a heart attack. High blood pressure, stroke triggers, not stroke, stress triggers a lot of different things. A lot of different things. We have to find a way to deal with stress. We have to find a better way to deal with stress, because it's a silent killer. It's a silent killer. It's a silent killer. Michelle says, question, my sister is 51. She's having these heavy periods. She's having real heavy periods. She said big blood clots keep coming out of her. She said every time she sees a doctor, they're telling her they don't see any fibromyalgia. Is that what it is? Why is she flooding like crazy? That's a great question. I would say, this is just my suggestion, I would say, if she's not satisfied with the answer that she got from the doctor, because I wouldn't want to be flooding heavy and clotting. That's just not, no. So if she's not happy with the answer that she got from the doctor, Michelle, and if she feels like that there may be something more, then I would tell her to advocate for herself. She could get another doctor. She can get a second opinion, because if she doesn't, it may lead to something else. It may be something else. And this is just a trigger to sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times, our body give us warnings. Victoria says, get another doctor's opinion. I totally agree. A lot of times our body give us warnings, when something's going on. It just be like, hey, something's not right, check it out. So that's not normal. Flooding, that's not normal. Clots, that's not normal. So I would definitely get a second opinion. I would not continue to go on like that. A lot of times with women, I don't know why. Sometimes if you have a male doctor, they'll kind of like, oh, it's all in your head. No, it's not. No, it's not all in my head. I want to know what's going on. And if they're not able to help you, then like Victoria said, I totally agree. Get another opinion, and don't be afraid, because this is your body and you're the one that has to deal with these blood clots and this flooding, and it's not normal. So I would definitely go get it checked out. So you know what? I want everybody to make sure that they get the information that they need. So if you have the knowledge that you need as it relates to breast cancer or any other diseases, and you know your risk, then you're able to reduce that risk, and you're able to make decisions that would help prolong your life, right? Just to help prolong your life. Like if if somebody would have told me that I was going to get breast cancer at 43, there, and told me it was related to stress, I would have dropped everything that I was doing that I know led to that stressful situation. I would have been like, you know what? It ain't even worth it. It's not worth it. I'm walking away. I'm telling you, when I had the baby, I was crying every day for like 3 months. Just, I would wake up, drop my kids off at school. I would come home and I would cry. When they get out of school, I would go get them. And the baby was in, my baby was laying in bed with me, and I know she probably felt my energy, like, but she was a baby, and and I had to pull myself out of that. And my doctor, when I went to the doctor, and I was telling her how I was feeling, she was like, well, do you need me to prescribe you anything? Do you need to talk to anybody? I was like, I don't. So I had to pull myself out of it. And sometimes you do need help. Sometimes you do need to talk to somebody. I was able to pull myself out of it, but it was the situation that I was stressed about. It wasn't. So I got divorced in 2016. I was separated from my husband in 2009. So like all of that, that was added stress. It was all added stress because I was diagnosed in 13. So like, just going through that situation, just it put a lot of stress on me as well. Victoria says it may not be fibroids related. It could be something else. It could be something else. And the only way that your sister is going to know if she goes and get a second opinion. Don't allow the doctor to just brush her off and say, oh, it's nothing. No, as women, we advocate for our kids. We're at home advocating for our husbands, for everybody else. But then when it comes to you, it's like, don't put yourself to the side, because they always say you can't pour from an empty cup. And we are normally the ones that are, out here putting all this energy into making things happen at home. So we have to make sure that we're in tip top shape. And that's simple. We have to make sure that we're in tip top shape. And let me tell you, after you get a breast cancer diagnosis, your body's just not the same. It's just not. It's just not the same. I was never a person that was sick. I was never a person that was sick, like a sickly person, never got colds, just not a sickly person. So when I went into the doctor and they told me I had it, I'm like, well, I don't even feel sick. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Michelle said, yes, it could be something else. I keep telling on her, girl, I'll be running to other doctors. She has it really bad. Tell her, Michelle, to seek out another doctor. Because like I said, a lot of times our bodies are trying to tell us that something is not right. And if that's, your body should not be, it should not be clotting like that. If it's a heavy period, that means something is going on. Maybe they need to put her on some type of medicine that'll lighten the flow. And I don't know how she feels about, getting on some type of medicine, but it may lighten it may lighten it. Right now, I don't take any medicine. I just, after the chemo and stuff, I just was like, I don't want to take any medicine. Like when I get headaches, and I very rarely get headaches, I don't take medicine for anything. I don't. I do take, let me say I take gummy vitamins. I take elderberry vitamins, and that's it. I drink, most of my stuff comes in a tea. So I drink green tea, and it may have turmeric in it. I drink the elderberry tea with like vitamin C. Like I'm more like Victoria, like I'm a vegan, and I try to make sure that I'm putting the right things in my body. But then you still have to watch the stress. So you could be doing everything right, and then encounter a stressful situation, and then it would be a trigger to turn on other things. So I'm just like, I'm not gonna allow anything to stress me right now. I'm not. Like the kids was trying to get me to take them somewhere. Like every time I come home, they want me to take them somewhere. No, No, don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to say no. My sister had cancer, but we tested all. Did I read this already, girl? Did I read this? And no genetics was found. I think I did. Hold on. I did. Hold on, girl. Let me get to your comment. I'm at the wrong comment. Victoria said she may be afraid to know. Ooh. Sometimes we avoid knowing the truth, but it is important so that we can deal with things and not become a victim. Victoria, you have really preached right there. And that this is so true. And this is, I've heard this from women who were afraid to get their mammograms because they don't want to know. They don't want to know. So if you don't go get it, then they can't tell you nothing, right? But that don't mean that cancer is not gonna stop growing in your body because you don't want to know. No. So don't avoid the truth. And I know that's really true. If you have to encourage your sister Michelle, encourage her or go with her. Find a doctor for her and go with her to that appointment, because you don't want it to be a year or two from now and then she's coming in and say, girl, the doctor just told me. No. So we don't have to be victims. We can take control of our bodies and make sure that we're leaving stressful situations. We're removing ourselves from stressful situations, and that we're doing all of those things that Victoria said. We're eating right, we're exercising, we're making sure that we're putting the right things in our body, everything to build up our immune system. I mean, once you do all of that, and then you allow stress to come in, I don't know what to say. I can't be stressed. Victoria said my sister had a golf size lump for a year. Oh Lord. And when she told us, it was too late. That's scary, because you know what, Victoria? She was not the only one. She's not the only one. She's not the only one. I know a lot of women. Even after I was diagnosed with breast cancer, a lot of women that I know, they was like, no, I haven't even had a mammogram. I don't even want to go in there. And I'm like, I'll go with you. No, I don't want to go. That's just imagine for a woman who has that, how scary that is inside of her. And it's stressful. So that stress is going to help them cells grow much quicker. Much quicker. That's a scary situation. I'm telling you, when I found my lump, and when you called it, as soon as I called the doctor, as soon as I got back, because I was in Vegas for a weekend, as soon as I got back, I called the doctor and she got me in. When I say, I think I was in 2 days later, I was in getting my mammogram. She was like, oh no, okay, come on in. We about to check this out right now. So, and the funny thing is I had just had my clinical exam in July and she didn't find anything. And then in November it was there, but mine was triple negative, which is an aggressive form of breast cancer. So yes, stressful situations, you guys, and I didn't even have that on the list, but thank you, Victoria, for bringing that out. We cannot be stressed. Michelle, please get your sister to check it out. If she can't advocate for herself, then you do it for her. Encourage her, go with her to get it checked out. We have to be our sister's keeper. And and that's it, and that's all. We have to push them, we have to encourage them, and sometimes we have to hold their hands and go with them to the doctor. And that's it. So I encourage you to do that for your sister. Thank you guys so much for your comments and for making this live interactive. I appreciate all of the feedback and the comments. I will be back tomorrow for the next 31 days. So for the month of October, I am giving out, it's called Get the Facts, in recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Warriors Talk will be giving out the facts. Victoria says triple negative is most common for women of color. It sure is. And it sure is. And I don't know. I don't understand why, but I know, Victoria, they just came out with a new treatment for it. But it's for the early stages, stage 1 and stage 2. And they said it was very promising for a triple negative. So yeah, for women of color, and triple negative is really aggressive. And women of color, a lot of women of color are suffering with it. I know because I was one of them. So you guys join me tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Again, for the next 31 days, I will be giving out 31 facts as it relates to breast cancer in recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And just thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate the feedback. I hope that this information has just open the eyes and the hearts of someone who may be going through. You're welcome, Victoria. Thank you, Mylia. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you guys. If you can, please share the show out so that somebody else can get this information, so that they can feel empowered. This is Lady ReShell, and I am the author of Take Charge of Cancer. And thank you, Michelle. And I'm also the founder of Warriors Talk, where we empower individuals to take action, that is, to lead to a healthier lifestyle. So make sure that you are empowering your sisters. I'll see you tomorrow.